Hey, what's up? I've got a bunch of new subs, so I wanted to introduce myself and kind of talk about what this channel's about and what I believe and what I care about so that you know where I stand. Now, my name's David Hughes, but someday I hope to take this channel's name, Crazy Nigrifagratard, and take the offensive version of that name and make it my legal name. So my name would be F Crazy NFT. And I'm abbreviating the offensive parts, including the suffix tard, because YouTube's community guidelines, in my experience, are somewhat elastic. And you can get censored, you'd be surprised, for things that you think are utterly innocuous or harmless. Anyway, I have poop. I have poop galore. Ever since I made my first Jankum video, I realized that poop is a very special thing to me. And I didn't really know this before. In fact, I never believed in the power of poop. And yet now I'm making t-shirt designs that celebrate it. And the power of poop is what Jankum is to me mostly about. Now understand that urine also sometimes gets fermented before you consume your Jankum. And you can consume it in every form, liquid, gas, and solid. But it is very taboo. And so I'm getting requests, like somebody asked me to talk about why Sting apparently has turned down an offer to huff Jankum. And I looked it up just to check it out, and I couldn't find any information. I hadn't heard about it. It's important to understand real Jankumites suffer under the burden of the hoax that has cast doubt upon our community. And that hoax was by a bunch of teenagers that wanted to pretend that they were Jankumites and pretend that they used the substance to get high or whatever kids do. Jankum is about much more than just getting high. And I think that that's the direction I want us to go in. A responsible public face of Jankumism and love of excrement of all sort, of effluvia. I don't know if there are any like more fancy words to describe it, but you know, piss and poop. I have a daughter. I haven't seen her in years, and I'm just recently getting to get in touch with her over the phone. I've been reading to her, and I've been having her read to me, and it's changed my life. And I've been in prison. So these are all things you probably don't know just from looking at me. Maybe you do, right? I look like I might be a prison type guy. I was in solitary for over a year, and I encountered a lot of hatred there. And it was before I knew about Jankum, so I didn't even get to brown out. I had to experience each minute of that reality. And there were people in the prison that clearly knew of Jankum's properties. And this is true. In solitary, there was one cell with a hole in it that you could look into the cell next to it. And there was a guy next to me that offered me some brown. Now, at the time, I was poopophobic, and I didn't know what to say but no. And why do you call it brown? But the answer is obvious. He was, if not a Jankumite, he was at least familiar with the advantages of poop. And in jail, that's a huge advantage to be able to hide things in your butt. A cell phone that makes it in through your butt is still a cell phone. And on the inside, that's a big deal because people are being deprived of contact with their families and with their communities with the press, with the internet. Solitary should have an outlet that goes online. They should have some form of Wikipedia and a few programs built for the inmate. And that's something I believe in strongly. But my time in prison was much more poop-filled than you might imagine. And it's the first time I ever tasted poop, and this is true as well. When I first got to prison, I was delusional, and I was annoying the guards, apparently, and one of them told me to eat shit and die. And it really broke my stride and changed my perspective, and I was like, what? You know, you're a correctional officer. You're like the moral character in this play, and you're telling me to eat shit and die? Man, I'm open to that message right now. And so what I did was I put real live actual poop, this is true, in my real live actual mouth, and I chewed once. It was like dust, and then I stopped, pulled it out, tried to clean myself up. I smeared the poop on the wall and began to hit my head against the cell door where the slot was, in the hopes that I would die. Ridiculous. Absolutely dumb. But it happened. And if I had known about Jankum, then I would have bided my time, and I would have fermented that poop, and then made it into a delicious treat. But I didn't know about it, and that's the problem with drugs, is that drug education is very poor in our culture. For instance, people think that cocaine is far more dangerous than it actually is. I know dozens of people that have snorted cocaine without any nasty health effects. And their minds are perfectly apt and capable. It's just untrue. But Jankum, again, it has been the most misconstrued of all drugs I've ever encountered. More than LSD, coke, marijuana. Because people look at poop and they just think, okay, that's poop. Okay, I'm going to flush it and get rid of it. And if anyone likes it too much, there's something wrong with them. And that's the thing that Jankum brings to the world, is that there's gifts and hidden delights in our poop. And that's such a message of empowerment and inspiration. And so that's what I'd like to become for the Jankumite community. I want to be an inspirational speaker, like a preacher or a teacher. And I want to stand in front of thousands of Jankumites and talk about life and hopefully uncover truth. And not just huff Jankum every day type truth, though that's part of it, but also truth about what it means to love and reject people, to pull people push into close and to push them away. Anyway, I'm super fallible. I'm unique and weird. I believe that everybody should have a face tattoo just because I think that would be fun. So that's kind of who I am, and I'm going to leave it at that. You know, thanks for subbing. If you want to head off, that's okay with me. This is more like my typical content. This is probably a little more boring than some of the videos that you've seen so far here. But I'm open to becoming a character in this scene, and I love it. It's a great culture. Poop is beautiful, and there is power. The power of poop is real. It can change the world. There will one day be a piece of poop that is thrown into the atmosphere, into near orbit of Earth, and it will travel around the globe. And people will look up and they'll say, is it a bird? Is it a plane? It's super poop!